Hello, everybody. We're back. We're back. CG Weekly number 379. We got Zalman in the house over on Twitch. Welcome everyone for hanging out. Glad to have you all here. I like to do these streams where I'm going to both Twitch and YouTube to talk tech, answer tech questions, streaming questions, setup questions, and all that sort of stuff. When before I go on and do the more casual stuff over on Twitch, we got Robert Fixit in the house as well. Who is this handsome gentleman? I don't know who you're talking about, but I just remembered I forgot to turn the light on, so let me go turn it on. And now it's on. The Twitch light. It's pretty cool. Oh, wait a second. Am I crooked? Uh, it's straight enough. There is something I do want to mess with my camera mounting a little bit. I feel like I sit a little too low in the frame. It's pretty decent right now, though. We'll see if I bother to pull it all down because it's annoying. Good to meet you. Braethorn sent high praise. Yes, sir. Braethorn's an awesome guy. I wish him nothing but success. We have us tech creators. Well, we have quite a rough road ahead of us. If everything's going to get too expensive to buy, if tariffs are going to drive the cost of stuff, some companies are already announcing their price hikes and all sorts of stuff like that, then we may be in another like GPU apocalypse situation in terms of content when computers were just hard to build and pre-builds dominated. So maybe that'll be good for Braethorn. I did a couple of pre-build videos back then too, including reviewing a Skytech pre-build. And overall, like, that's when, honestly, if it wasn't for that time and what happened then, I don't think pre-builds would have as much positive notoriety as they do now and attention and stuff like that. And Meta, so what up? What up, iMeta? Good to see you, bro. Keep it up. Thank you. Yes, that's why I got my video card early. I understand, Ballsonic. That's a fair enough reason to get that. And it is going to be better, so... 7900 XTX replacing a 3090. How does the chat feel about that? Especially if you don't turn on ray tracing, because it is better. I was not around then, so luckily I do not have PTSD yet. It was a time. Fortunately, I'm very diversified in the content I produce here, and so a lot of that is going to be stream related. Like stream advice, stream like accessories, hardware, stuff that you can pretty much always get most of the time. And tariffs really, not tariffs, but rather the GPU apocalypse back then didn't really heavily affect things. And well, that's going to be a different scenario this time around. So everything is going to be more expensive because everything is either made with components from that way or that's getting tariffed heavily or not. So what it looks like is everybody needs to move their manufacturing to Russia. No tariffs. I need to fix this. Nope. Everybody gets to see me real big right now until I fix this. Okay, there we go. There we go. Oh, and to further that point.
No, God! No, God, please, no! No! No!
Let's have a window from other people. Micro Center nearby. Micro Center isn't as good a value as some people think. Now, how I feel about Micro Center may or may not be controversial. You guys can tell me that. But to me, Micro Center is convenient. And it's awesome to have a place like that. And I think a place like that needs to exist. However, for the sake of keeping business operating, there are things there that they don't stock at good prices. And that's just how it is. Accessory. You can get core components at market rate. Less evil than Best Buy. I mean, I worked for Best Buy for lots of years. It's not really that they're evil per se. It's just not their focus. And they're not really in the game of like sort of scamming people on computer components. I mean, they didn't even used to have lots of computer components per se. Like they had selections, and now that selection has gotten better, but it's still not obviously competing with a place like Best Buy. Microsoft seems like 7-Eleven hot dogs, convenient but not ideal. Man, people talk crap on 7-Eleven hot dogs too. Those things are all beef, high quality dogs. I like 7-Eleven hot dogs, and you can't get that taste elsewhere. Like I want a spicy hot dog. They got it. I'm not going to get it from Costco. Sure, Costco is a better value, and you get a pretty good dog too. But 7-Eleven actually uses good quality hot dogs. Now, if we want to talk about their other food, I don't know. The jury's out, but they do use good quality hot dogs. This has been like proven in some videos that I've seen where people compared the quality of different convenience store food, and 7-Eleven ended up doing pretty well in terms of their hot dogs. MD, what's up? Now, if Micro Center sold hot dogs, we could get both things done at the same. You're right. Set up a hot dog stand right outside a Micro Center, and then sell them for pretty cheap, but not too cheap. Because, first, the people in there buying stuff, they got money. But second, they spent that money. Okay, but look, I personally have still yet to buy anything for myself from Micro Center. And my stance has always been that, like, you can get stuff shipped to you from various websites that have prices that are competitive with, or if not slightly more expensive, but safe it keeps the convenience of, having you stay home instead of driving and using gas money, or even under the cost of what Micro Center sells. And I don't need to leave my house in order to do that. I can just order it. And that's the reason why I've never needed to step foot in a Micro Center for my own stuff. Now, there's a situation where we blew up a computer and we needed to rebuild it immediately that day. There was no way we were going to get that done without Micro Center. In which case, obviously, amazing that it was there. But on the other hand, when I looked for a CPU cooler to use in the PC build that we were doing, I couldn't find anything affordable. The cheapest AIO I could find at Micro Center was like $150, maybe $140. And it's ridiculous, especially with brands like Thermalright out here dropping $90 RGB 360 millimeter AIOs that have a screen on the pump. Like, have you guys seen this? Nobody's talking about this. Thermalright is killing it. And now they're killing it with AIOs. And not just regular AIOs. They're kind of new AIOs. But look, okay, right? Thermalright, $81.99. And now, if any of you guys are interested in this specific 3-fan AIO, here's the link for you guys over there, and here's the link for you guys over there. $81. It has a screen on it, and you can change the stuff on that screen. It isn't just some static thing. They got really good fans. The RGB daisy chains. It's uncomplicated, simple. One cable to the pump. That makes sense because it has the screen in it. Sure. But it's just like kind of standard AIO with a screen on the pump. $81. You have Asus charging like $350 for a screen with the AIO, the Ryujin. And NZXT charging $180 for a 240 with the screen on it. Like, nobody's talking about this $81 cooler. So clip this and blow it up, please. Thermalright is a goat. Yeah, dude. But you won't find Thermalright at Micro Center in stock. Look, we'll do it right now. Let me get some background music going as well. Yeah. There we go. Okay. Now, I'm going to write Thermalright. And let's see, Tustin. 7 Thermalright items available in Tustin. Okay, now they stock this stuff. When I was there, they didn't have any of this. They didn't have any cheap coolers. And this is the air cooler. Not a single one of their AIOs. If you're dead set on an AIO, you're screwed. Right, but it looks like they do have the coolers, so that's a step in the right direction. However, the CPU that I was buying back then was an i7, like a 14th gen i7. You know, heat monsters that you want an AIO for. And the only thing that can keep that heat monster under control in that specific build that I did, and this is with the front mounted AIO, so you get all the air, all the good air, was making it push pull. Fans on both sides of the radiator is what got that that 14th gen i7 under control. And by under control, I still just mean maxing out at 94C before it would thermal throttle. Without the fans being in push pull on that rate, on that 360 mil radiator, it would thermal throttle. So if I need a really, really good AIO, and these may compete with the 360 mil AIO, but the 360 mil AIO has a bit more headroom, I think, in terms of longer term high wattage cooling. So yes, I wasn't in the market for an air cooler when I was doing that build. So if you're not in the market for an air cooler, you're kind of screwed. However, you are still paying more, and this goes back to the convenience factor I was talking about. The Peerless Assassin 120 SE at the Micro Center is $50, and on Amazon it's $40. Sorry, $36.90. And so this is the reason why, like convenience and money savings, being able to buy this without having to spend $10-15 in gas to go there and get it. And unfortunately, this is an advantage of online vendors versus brick and mortar. And that's why, like, it is what it is. This is, stuff is, there's a good chance stuff is going to be more expensive at a place like Micro Center. So if you don't need to get stuff immediately, then you still have great options and you don't have to leave the house. You don't need a Micro Center. But if I'm being honest, the right products like Thermalright coolers for $50 is still a no-brainer. It's still worth the money. Well, hey, for not being a Micro Center fan, but I don't see big traction from my Looking Glass. See, we're on the same page. Some people just like still buying stuff in person. That's true too. What are your thoughts on Thermaltake PSUs? Are good quality like Corsair? Thermaltake power supplies are very hit or miss. Some have been good and some have been bad. And I actually am not a Corsair power supply fanboy. I always thought they're overpriced for what you get most of the time. I'm all about Seasonic and some other brands, mostly Seasonic. But problem with Seasonic now is they are now also in the luxury pricing market or game. And so you can't get a cheap Seasonic. My favorite cheap Seasonic, and while it was an older tech that is not necessarily recommended, it was still a highly reliable power supply, was the Seasonic as a M12-2 Evo. M12-2. Oh, there's an Evo. Nice. And it goes up to 850 watts, which will cover the majority of people. And this power supply used to be findable, and its variations, so like the 620 and the 520. I would get the 620 for builds all the time in the past, and it was like $55, $60. It was not expensive. It was a fantastic power supply. It used a slightly older, what do they call it, group regulation style. So it wasn't the best of technologies in it, but it was a good, reliable power supply with a good warranty, and it was not that expensive. And I say that about Corsair power supplies when I have a Corsair power supply in my computer. But it was one that nobody has ever talked about during a time when prices for power supplies were crazy, because there's a little bit of a power supply apocalypse that happened in 2019. And that's when the floor for power supply pricing just went boop, and that was it. Everything was always expensive after that point in time. I have a Corsair Vengeance 80 plus silver 750 watt power supply. And this thing is a tank. I have lots of stuff going through it. And it's just keeping true. But I didn't have a good choice back then as to what I wanted. I would have gotten something like this M12-2 Evo 850 watt or 750 watt back in the day, but they just didn't have them anymore. So now Seasonic doesn't make anything cheap. They used to make stuff that was well priced and high quality, and now it's just high price, high quality. Let's see, what you got to do without prime price. Oh, I think it was $39 then, which is still, cheaper than what it was at Micro Center. Me leaning forward like this makes me appear lower in the frame. I gotta lean back properly, pull the arm up, there we go. Crazy how people cheap out on PSUs and $1,000 bills. Blow my mind. Yeah, but there was a time where you can find good stuff at good prices. And I think my to me, certain things that never were that expensive and you can get decent parts or two parts: power supplies and motherboards. Motherboards, if I'm spending over $100 to $150, and the $100 to $200 price range was for the nicer boards, not necessarily budget boards. And now that price bracket are the budget boards. Ay, ay, ay. I was a fan of the Strider series. There you go. Yeah, man. So it's just times are different, and I get it, but some of us will always want to look at stuff in relation to different points in time, sort of thing. Oh man, we have more leaks on the 5060 that's coming out. Oh boy, and all sorts of stuff. 9070 GRE. Ooh, I want to talk about that. I just got the Landly Edge. Is that a power? Oh, the one with the connectors on the other side. I like that. See, give me a reason to want something different from you, and that might make the price more worth it. Don't just make another power supply and then be like, more expensive, you know. Found out the power wattage at 700XX, 800 watts. That's what it recommends for total power supply. You already have that. It's not like it's more power hungry than a 3090. 7900 XTX let's say TDP versus 3090 TDP. What do you do with your 3090? So the 3090 has a TDP of 350 watts, and the 7900 XTX is a TDP of 355 watts. You're fine. You're gonna mount it on what? 3,000 watt, please. $99. What's funny is international power supplies that operate on 240 volt. They will probably, you can get higher wattage and not spend as much money compared to here, but that's just how that works. It's a factor of there we go. That's just a factor of the market over there and the way the power works. Hey there, Christian Chat says, Rhett, good to see you. Good to see you. All right, let's talk about this real quick. We have the 9070 GRE is leaking out, and I believe now they're calling this a card for the Chinese market. The GRE did come out for the American market, and it came out way later, but the previous GRE did. This looks like it's going to be in front of the regular 9070 non-XT. Hidden personal meaning, last gift from dad before passing was going to get mounted. Oh, awesome. Have a mini build behind it. There you go. Well then, I'm glad it has meaning for you, and then you can keep it, put it up there, display it, and do something cool with it. That's awesome. According to the latest post, 9070 GRE, the new special edition RDNA 4, will indeed feature 12 gigs. So if the 9070 non-XT is priced at $499, right, MSRP, then this is going to be the 9070 GRE with 12 gigs, same as the 9070. Wait, no. 9070 has 16 gigs, isn't it? RX 9070. Where's your RAM? You Sun on the Beach. Pretty sure it has 16 gigs. GPU memory. There it is. Yeah, 16 gigs. I was right. 12 gigs is not that much less, but it's funny because like they're really slapping Nvidia in the face when the one that's cheaper than the 5070 has more VRAM than the 5070, and then they're going to slap them again by dropping the 9070 GRE that's even cheaper than the 9070 that already has more VRAM than the 5070 and have the same amount of VRAM. 24 in new ones. What are you talking about? Performance that 97 GRE 12 gigs currently being planned by AIB partners. And so, where is this possibly going to land in terms of performance? That is the question. Oh. Okay, somebody called Will over. So it's a to be leaked. I like that right there. So It's going to be 48XL, so still the same die, maybe a little further cut down though. Less than or equal to 3584 cores. It's got to be less than 192-bit because of the 12 gigabyte, and that's the arrangement. 480 gigabytes a second is the memory bandwidth spec. Obviously, less RAM, less. Yeah, okay. Quarter 2. We're already in quarter 2, so we may see it soon. What it's going to be? What like $449, right? 50 AMD and their $50 price caps. If this is $449 and it has, I don't know, 5% reduction on performance versus the 9070 non-XT, that's going to be the one to get. It'll probably be what the 9070 should have been at this price, because like the 9070. And if you really only spent $50 less than the 9070 XT, you goofed. Should have got the XT. But if the GRE comes out and it's very, very close to the regular 9070, but $100 cheaper than the 9070 XT in terms of MSRP, then I think we have a hit on our hands. A bona fide hit on our hands. You heard? Where's Has Agent? And he's supposed to say first. All right. 5060 Ti is also rumored to match right now. If only GPUs are right. It's the only thing I can talk about though for stuff that's not out. Yeah. Okay. 5060 Ti. They're gonna do the whole 8 gig, 16 gig thing again. Come on. Stop wasting wafers like that. Part of the reason that NVIDIA has problems with their stock is because everything's split. They keep adding models. Like, we don't want an 8 and a 16 gig 5060 Ti. They could have just made it a 12 gig and called it a day and not have 2 options. They could have just made it a 16 gig and not had 2 options. So this is just going to mess with the price and reduce stock for the different variations of them, because you keep splitting it up. It's fragmented like crazy. Yeah, okay. Now, in terms of pricing, if the pricing matches, it's not the worst thing, I suppose. What's the 4060 Ti? $499. So that would mean that the 5060 Ti 16 gig, yeah, is going to be the price of a 9070 12. No, it'll be more expensive than a 9070 12 gig. More SKUs, more money. I should make another channel with TI at the end and just say it's the same thing but slightly better. That's hilarious. That's hilarious. I love that. That's what I should have named my second channel. Because the second channel is Coalition Chris. And that's where I post the our more random content, but also our podcast content. If you guys were not aware, I have that here. I'll show you. Yes, there it is. That's where a lot of other content goes. That channel, and I'll put it for you guys over here. Yeah. Did you see the GN piece? Number of cloud GPUs? Yes, I saw that. I was watching a bit of that. Yeah, and on that, I felt like I think he even said, no, it wasn't him. It was somebody else. I think it was Linus. But they're all like, what do we go? Look all the way back to the 10 series. And the 10 series, you had a strong budget contender for $149. It was the 1050 Ti. But something that a lot of people forget, Coalition Gaming Ti, just wear a tie. Yeah. So the problem with that I had was, one, the 1050 Ti existed in a price bracket that was so close to the RX 470 that stomped it, that the 1050 Ti wasn't the greatest of values. The RX 580, yes, but the 470 existed because, and the reason I say this is we did a PC build on the channel that featured a RX 470 that I managed to catch before everything, all the mining craze made the prices go up on that, and that went to, I believe that was Reckoning X's build, friend of ours in the whole channel, everybody. Yeah, we got it for 155 or 158. Like an unbeatable price. And versus what a 1050 Ti was, yeah, it stomped it all over the place. And now a thing that like Nvidia did is the very fact that they had a 1050 Ti was nice. They offered a decently usable, decently powerful GPU for under 150, under 160 realistically. Well, sure, whatever. Now, problem is they also had a 1060 and a 1063 gig, a 6 gig and a 3 gig. And my problem with that whole situation was the 6 gig was a good GPU. The 1066 6 gig is now legendary GPU for Nvidia. Then the 1063 gig is not, because it isn't the same GPU with less VRAM. It is a further cut down version that is slower in every way. And what that should have been, the 1063 gig, and if you look at like where the performance lies, the 1063 gig should have been the 1050 Ti. And then what eventually did become the 1050 Ti should have been the 1050 non-Ti. And everybody would have been happy. Nobody would have trashed on the 1063 gig. It was essentially an ignored GPU that nobody liked. So it was pointless for them to do it and release it. The 1063 gig stomped it. There was no reason. And I say that too. We did a build with the 1063 gig. We gave away a PC with the 1063 gig. That was our first PC giveaway that we did, and it was a beautiful computer. But yeah, it was fine, and it was priced well. It was one of the few GPUs you could get for, I don't know, what do we pay for, 190, 200, something like that. And yeah, that was a good GPU for that money, because the 1066 gig was 250. So it was priced correctly, but I really think it should have been the real 1050 Ti. Oh well. Or the RX 580. Indeed. Yeah, the 400 series and 500 series, the Polaris series in general were great value performance GPUs. So we're hoping that we see the Polaris architecture. Fuera! I'm still hoping to see the Radeon team bring the RDNA 4 architecture as far down as $200. I don't think 150 is going to be realistic anymore. Honestly, the bottom may end up being 250, but still. And I hope EVGA comes back. They're not gone. They're just gone enough. They just don't make anything other than power supplies that's worth putting in people's computers now. Maybe AIOs, but whatever. It's good stuff. And speaking of which, I have it right here. You can see it on the top camera. EVGA RTX 2080, which apparently was one of the weaker options in terms of that. Like speaking of that Gamers Nexus piece, it was one of the ones that dipped in terms of CUDA core count versus the highest end one. But great GPU either way. It's still slightly faster than RTX 3060. Feels like companies don't even see the point of trying to make a GPU below $300 or so, right? Unless their name is Intel, and then they just can't make enough stock. I so badly want to see Intel make the B770. The A770 was very okay, and in its optimal configuration, it did manage to compete well enough with what was it, a 3060, and that's fine. But considering how good now the B is it the 580 that's out right now, the B580, considering how well that performs for the money, for the $250 mark, I want to see a bigger version of it. I really hope Intel doesn't can the whole division or just absolutely gimp the production of anything other than that one GPU, because I want to see the 770 version on that architecture. I want to see how good that'll do, because that might be like the go-to, right? What would they charge for it? If it's $250 for the current one, that one would be $350, I think. Yeah, let's go with $380. And if it's $350 to if it's under $400, period, they own the market. Nobody else is down there other than Radeon with the last generation GPU. They own the. I guess Nvidia's out there with the 4060, but it's not really worth it because it was proven that the Intel one beats it. So again, yeah, they'd own the market if they have a very high quality performant GPU, in the 250 to 350 price bracket. You have the cheap one at 250, and you have the 770 at say 350. Boom, we're good. Price doesn't matter if it's not in stock, and they have to do work on that. But like Intel has their own fabs. If they're doing this stuff because if it's low stock because TSMC is basically all used up and they can't put any orders in to get this stuff manufactured, they don't see it as important to them because it's not a big part of the revenue stream overall in the grand scheme of things. There's a lot of business behind why they wouldn't push it more, but the PC tech community wants to see Intel pull this off. As we know, NVIDIA is not going to do it. And AMD might do it, but they have a bad track record of succeeding at it. But Intel's already making a very promising product at a promising price. And so I want to see what they could do. And it's not like, okay, this is different now, but it's not like Intel couldn't afford to just sink money into them for a good long time until something happens. But considering that they had like an $18 billion loss in the last quarter, there's people running around with their heads cut off trying to figure out what to do about that. And if they look at how much GPU R&D costs are, production costs, and then profit margins, they're going to want to cut them out. And they've already reduced some stuff and saying that like we won't see any other. I think they said that we won't see more GPUs from them that are dedicated GPUs. We may see that architecture find its way into laptops, more high-end stuff that way, but not as a dedicated expansion card, which I really don't hope that's. I really hope that that's not how it turns out. And that was the whole thing with their CEO, Pat Gelsinger, getting kicked out. He was the one behind pushing it. And so without him, Intel's GPU aspirations are very stifled. So we'll see what happens. Verret said, once I finally set up my Jellyfin Docker, I may join you in wanting an Intel GPU instead of just relying on an 8100i GPU. Oh, yeah. You could eventually also upgrade it to an iGPU that has updated Xe architecture, and then you'll be back in business. And that's why I do my encoding with an Intel NUC that's right over there. And that NUC has a NUC 13, the 13th gen with Intel Xe integrated graphics, and it does encoding awesome. It encodes very nicely. Price, yeah. So that's always an option. But sure, this is the GPU that I've always wanted. I'll show you guys. Now, everybody else is caught up. It's not as wanted to me now, but it's called the Intel Arc Pro A40. Imagine this guy. AV1 strong media encoding engine, single slot, half height, no additional power needed. What do you say to that? That becomes an encoder GPU, a powerful one at that. Doesn't use that much power. Like it's great, but they didn't bring it to consumer market. This is just in like OEM only kind of deal. Having this as a second GPU to run encoding, while performance may not improve or whatever like that, because there's still the way that it encodes and bounces back between graphics cards, which causes additional overhead. General encoding performance would be better. But yeah, it never really became a thing. Like, am I going to spend $170 on it? It's out of stock. Am I going to buy it on eBay for $400? Hell to the no. Like, yeah. This is just frustrating. What does B&H have it for? No longer available. So it's already gone, which sucks. $200, sure, not bad, but what is this on Reddit? Oh, this guy got one, and that's a different one. It looked a little different. Look at that. Now that's exactly the config. Look at that. Got this from B&H. Okay, so a year ago, we got it from B&H. Seemed a tad overpriced, but hey, $200 for a workstation card with AV1 encode decode right now, next to AMD data center card that starts at $1,600. Yeah. I remember that one. I'm gonna use it for any optimized. Not in the slightest. Going to run unraid server. So, look, this is similar to kind of your situation, right? Going to run an unraid server for Plex and TDAR. I don't know TDAR. As soon as we get a version 6.13, that's when they'll update their Linux kernel. So version has ARC drivers. However, if you want me to try something, at least try. Wondering why so much microSD card, essentially paying for the certification optimization when there are A310 and A380 available. Not quite as powerful enough for my purchases. More of a display card than anything, not a transcoding card. A310 Luma is $550. Almost got the A40 for $200. I got more VRAM, ultimate wicked, but A380, same RAM and XE core, similar form factors, much cheaper. A310, A380 does not come in. See, here's the thing: A380 does not come in half height, half length, single slot, and it needs an external power cable. And then the A310 only comes in half height, half length, single slot when bought as a Luma card from Matrox, $544. And then they have this version of the A310, which is close, but this has less VRAM and less video outputs, if that mattered. Like, it's a worse version of the A40. So please, like, why did they just have the A40, man? Like, it's just annoying. Yeah. Back to here. Oh, okay. Sorry about that. All right. So, what else do we got in the newsosphere? 1590 now. Power customized servers in Vietnam. No. Of course, CPUs become the most popular choice. Market share grows. That makes sense. How much does VRAM matter for transcoding encoding, though? This guy's using it in a okay, here's the thing. If you end up using it to run servers, I think the VRAM starts to matter. Caching within let's say each virtual machine is going to count for something against the VRAM, that sort of stuff. In terms of just like traditional usage, no, I don't think it'd matter if you just straight encoding all the time. But having that extra VRAM, if you're going to spend the money, gives you the flexibility to do more if in a server scenario where you can experiment with different programs and usages and stuff like that. And it's really hard to argue against that. Like, again, it could have just been in the market, and it was not. They gave us a worse version in the market. The knowledge of knowing that there's a better one and then having to settle for the worst one because the better one was too hard to get, that's the pain point there. Yeah, that's realistically where I stand on that one. So I don't like it when companies do that, so please don't do that. Whoa, check this out. As I am somebody who very much likes laptop news, gaming GPU laptop news. The 5090 and the 5080 laptops show a small gap in performance. This is huge to me, at least, because if the 5080 is within a certain like striking distance of the 5090 in the laptop configuration, there's no point in the spending all that extra money. However, if you need it as a workstation, then yes, look here, 37% more CUDA cores in the 5090 laptop core than the 5080, and the 5080 is power limited. But let's see. This is the main reason why the 5080 isn't much slower. That to say that the 5090 has a stricter power limit, or that it hits the limits faster because it has more cores, and there's a factor of power that is keeping them closer. 10 to 15% slower while having 20% fewer GPU cores and 33% less memory, but the 5090 seems to be costing 72% more. Yeah, the 5080 is going to be the one to get for high-end gaming laptop users. It's going to be the 5080, that's fine. Sure. Looks like the 5090. Oh, that kind of explains it. The 5090 and the 5080 are power limited to very similar power levels in the same max. And yeah, that seems to be the reason. It looks like the 5070 Ti and the 5070 are going to be the one to get if you don't want to have so much power usage. maybe the 5070 Ti, but these laptops are going to be expensive, unfortunately. The days of finding a laptop with a 2060 or a 3060 in it for under $800, gone as well. That's annoying. And I'm one of those. I had scored a 2060 laptop for $650. You're not going to find a 60 class in the laptop for that kind of price anymore. So that's annoying. And that was out the door before tariffs and all sorts of other stuff. It's been like that for a few years now. Like, just annoying. Hey, cheap viewers. So, Mr. Inhuman, I will go to that link if you donate 15 subs right now. 15 subs to Twitch. Hit that gift sub button. Mr. Redragon. Got him. Yeah, bitch. Now what? Thanks for you. Not today. Right? Oh, looks like Zalman's firing up his stream too. All right, what do we got over here? Let's go down the news feeds, my friends. Panther Lake, client product, officially ROG Strix OLED gaming monitors. Okay, so if you already have a 1080p or 14, if you already have a good monitor that's not OLED, and everything in your configuration has already been pretty upgraded, pretty updated, and very performant, and you're like, where else do I want to spend my money? Welcome back to the conversation, monitors. And that's when we get OLED. I myself want an OLED. I'm perfectly happy with 1080p screens though. So, but that doesn't make sense to spend that extra money on OLED and 1080p. You know what I mean? If your 2080s suddenly missing, it was definitely not me. That's funny. OLED, you're basically locking yourself into 1440p. And again, as somebody that likes 1080p because of the high refresh rates and the fact that on my screens it still looks great to me, going 1440p automatically is going to give me like a 20% performance hit to everything I play just to get a better looking screen. Oh well, sure, I guess. But the other part that sucks is that they're all expensive. So this one from Asus, the ROG Strix OLED XG27 UCDMG. Thank you for naming monitors. The monitor naming convention is the worst. Is going to be about, let's see, it says already it's available to 27 inch. Oh, this is a 4K. Yikes. Let's see, 250 nits of brightness, 1000 nits in HDR. That's good. It better. USB Type-C, display DisplayPort alt mode. Okay, that's fine. DP 2.1 here. Wait, there's no DP 2.1. You need to look at a different monitor if you want DP 2.1. Whatever. 4K is too much. That's $1,000 for that monitor. $1,000 to make your games run like shit. Unless you have a 90 class CPU or a 7900 XTX, you know. If you're playing modern games, if you're playing indie games and old stuff, then sure, whatever. But yeah, like I have a 3080. I wouldn't run 4K games on it, especially because my 3080 is a 10 gig. I'll settle for 1440 OLED, right? I mean, I'm not settling for 1440 OLED. I'm mad that I have to go OLED. I have to go to 1440 for the reasons I just explained. But it is what it is. So to say that I settle for it is possibly incorrect, but to say that I begrudgingly accept one and pay the price, I think that's more accurate. I will enjoy my 48 OLED and 700 XTX. Yeah. See, look, when you're at that high end level, I do suppose the upgrades that are every single upgrade gets you more frames, and I can respect that because you need it. Anybody playing 4K, and it's like, again, we all know, like, it's not the majority. They are pretty loud. They are a vocal minority. I'll settle for 4040p OLED if it's a free review sample. Yeah, I actually got an email about that, and then when I asked back, like, so what kind of what are the deliverables you want from me for this offer? And they didn't answer back. So it was also a brand I'd never heard of. I was like, okay, whatever. OLED would have been cool. But yeah, no, I'm more than likely gonna just end up buying one, but on my next PC build, not this one. Oh, my RGB on my RAM turned off. Whatever. Yes, so that's that. What's next here in the newsosphere? Let's check on the other feed. In world, anybody excited for Computex? I had previously decided that Computex in Taiwan was this is going to be my last shot at going, but financially, I'm a little too responsible to be like, yeah, I'll spend $5,000 for a couple of days in Taiwan at a place that to make content that is gonna get terrible views. Didn't seem like a great idea to me, so I didn't do it. I'm not gonna do it. That money is just gonna continue going to more important things than a trip to Taiwan. You know what I mean? For the content where nobody has invited me to see anything and be part of any booths for anything like that, I am essentially going as a tourist. I don't think it's worth it. And I've done the Taiwan trip. We'll have to wait. Yeah, important things, making the wifey happy. No, it's like paying loans now. It's like, you know, adult things. Let's put it that way. It's just adulting sucks. Okay, it's not necessarily making her happy. It's just we converse. She's the one. She's the one who came to me like, look, if you really want to go, we need to start planning it. Blah blah blah. She put it all in front of me, and then I started thinking about it, and I'm just like, it's gonna be $1,500 a person for the flights. We're not even talking the hotel now or Airbnb, whatever. That's gonna be at least 3 or 4 days, maybe 3-ish, 4-ish. You can't make it a short trip because it's an 18-hour flight. You have to make the trip worth it, and it's too much. None of it added up correctly to be like, yes, let's do this. There's nobody helping us. There's no sponsors. There's nothing. It would literally be all money out of pocket, and that is just incredibly difficult to justify. So we won't be going to Taiwan. I may be covering content from Computex during streams, though. So make sure you guys subscribe, follow, stick around for that stuff. Anything cool over here on WCCF Tech I want to talk about? 5070. MSI 5070 review. Zalman got an RTX 5070. That's kind of neat. He uses NVIDIA stuff. Otherwise, 9070 XT would have been a better decision. But, you know, it fits his usage. And it's also almost twice as fast as his 2080. And he's still at 1080p. So he's blisteringly fast now. A 5070 is competitive. Lands anywhere between a 3090 and a 3090 Ti. So coming from a 2080, that's still huge no matter how you cut it. There. Important thing. Sadly, I think the belt tightening is making sponsors more scarce. But the bonus dome will take tower. Will still fit in. Yes, good. Glad you don't. I'm glad that it will fit. You didn't have Zalman's problem. Yeah, that makes sense for sponsors too. They're gonna have less stock to also just give things away. But then I don't know. Yeah. That's the whole situation with sponsors, being a tech YouTuber and all that is just depressing. Whoa. Can you guys believe this? The RTX 4060 is now the best-selling GPU on Newegg. That's an 8 gig card. MSI Ventus RTX 4060 2X takes number 1 position. The majority of bestsellers are still Radeons, though. Yeah. 3060 and then 4060 looks like it caught up, and it's the 8 gig that did it, not the 16 gig. Ugh, overpriced though. Oh man, that's the only one not sold out. Funny. The I don't want to spend more than $500 crowd. Yeah, I know, right? Like, It makes sense. People don't want to spend so much of their discretionary income on single things, single components, stuff like that. It's tough. People, I had a phone call with the homeowners insurance earlier because they canceled mine. I've been put into non-renewal for one, and so I had to make a phone call. And now in order to get homeowners insurance back on my house, I have to pay more, a lot more. Like discretionary income getting eaten into everywhere you look. So it sucks that everything just climbing in terms of price and complicating all of it even more. Life is hard enough. That sucks. Yeah, I remember seeing the $300 range for GPU. Same. I forgot that I spent a lot on a GPU one time. I got a NVIDIA GTX 8800 GTS 640, or did I get the 320? I forget. But that was, I think, $380 one time. It's on my Newegg history. I can actually go and look there. But I was always about the 60 class GPUs, especially if they were 60 class TI. Now, I had a 5770 for a Radeon 5770 for a while because that's what was pretty good after my 8800 GTS died. And then I went to a 560 and then a 660 Ti. And that 660 Ti, that's a legendary GPU. You want to talk legendary GPUs? People are talking, oh, the 1060. That's no, the 660 Ti. 760, nobody cared. 960, less people cared still, especially because there was no 960 Ti. The only GPU in the 900 series that people cared about was the 970 and the 980 Ti. And the other ones were afterthoughts. People didn't talk about them as much. The 700 series didn't have anything particularly worthwhile. And then the 600 series had the 660 Ti. Amazing for the money. 460 to 460 SLI than 760. I guess that single GPU gave you good enough more performance that you didn't have to deal with the SLI issues. That makes sense. Yeah, buddy. Amniag in the house. I miss the old days like the HPZ series when it was fun to build cheap sleeper builds. It's still fun to do that, but it's almost predictable now. Like in the tech content space, if we move forward with everything that's happening in the market right now, tariffs, trade wars, blah, 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 and everything goes up in price, we're going back to eBay. We're going back to workstation builds. We're going back to office PC builds. A lot of people never stopped with that stuff. Crim in the house. What case would you recommend nowadays? I'll get to that in a second. Pretty much when just like how inconsistent. Yeah. We're going back to all that to some degree, but the problem is in terms of content, I don't like doing content for parts that are just going to get put in the garage and I don't have a place or a person to give them or sell them to. And selling computers secondhand can become problematic. Like people I've already been called for builds in the past that they stopped working correctly, and I was the guy they bought it from. So like, hey, I got lucky some of those times where they brought me the computer back. I inspected it, fixed it, gave it back to them, charged them a fee, and everything was good. But that's not always going to be the case. So I can't and I'm giving out my personal phone number when I do these deals because it's complicated to like manage multiple phone numbers. I had a Google Voice number for a little while. I didn't use it enough. Eventually just got, deactivated. How often is it hardware versus software issues with those problems though? It's mostly software, but I've had bad power supplies. Like when you're building budget PCs like that, you're using Thermaltake smart power supplies, the cheap ones. That you're using EVGA white rated power supplies, stuff that you're spending $40 for because that's the only way to make any money. And so sometimes it's hardware. I've had to replace power supplies. I've had to remove viruses. I've had to fix Windows that had bad updates, and I've just had to change BIOS settings because BIOS got reset. It happens. But not everybody's going to take that well all the time. So I can't make tons of content being like this. What's the best office PC to convert to a gaming PC all the time? Because then when I do eventually get rid of them, and I definitely don't want to eBay them. Shipping is terribly expensive. That if I sell them locally, I don't want to be the person that gets stuck in into supporting that, whether it's paid or not. I already do enough. I spend 10 hours a day at work doing IT, and some of that is complicated and stressful. I'm kind of over it. Not job per se, but doing complicated and stressful tech work on the side. Krim, what case would you recommend nowadays? It's hard to say because there's so many good cases out there, and the hold on. Let's see. There's so many good cases out there. It's hard to really say. There are some that are pretty good for the money, some that come with fans for the money, some that don't. It really depends. Like, what are you after? Do you want a water cool? Do you want an air cool? Do you want it to have a lot of fans? Do you want it to be compact? Do you want it to be big? Like, there's a good case in almost every category, right? And Fantex, as Ryu Dragon says, Fantex makes a lot of good cases. They're one of the best case manufacturers out there. There's that. All right. Cool. Yes. So, yeah, I'd like to answer your question in more detail, Krim, but how about some more detail from you? Also, what's your budget? Because I could be like, the most expensive thing. Just kidding. The most expensive case you can afford. You know what? Let's look at what Fantex has to offer. Fantex. Oh man, I used to love the old Evolve cases. I really wanted one. Let's see, cases. Enthoo, huh? Damn it, Ryu, where's the Lux? Just kidding. Envy, I believe, is pretty nice. Full tower cases. The Envy 5 is a mid tower. They only have 3. There's no compact Envy. Enthoo are pretty big. The Enthoo 719, we have a video. I built 2 computers inside of one. It's pretty cool. That Pro 2 is very interesting. Oh, it's a server edition. It's meant for a lot of drives there. That's why that explains all the fans right there. The Evolve. And now you have the Evolve, which is a fish tank style computer, but it is of the current, not at the dual chamber size. Oh, the Shift XT is nice. But looks like airflow on the Evolve is bottom to top, if I'm looking at it correctly. It holds my BDR and DVDR drives. Yeah. The Evolve Shift XT is catching my eye right now. No handles though, but it looks like some high-tech piece of gear you see in like a sci-fi movie. Oh, I guess you open the front for airflow. Is that what that's about? Expandable, it says. Oh yeah. By extending the chassis. It's not just opening the front. Is it making the whole case taller? Looks like it does. Let's see. Dink. Oh yeah, the whole case gets taller. That's pretty neat. High tech. It's just sliding mechanism. Yeah, this looks nice. I like that. GPU breathes from the mesh on the side. Sounds like 100. All right, let's see. Now, Ryu, how much is the this little case, the Evolve Shift XT? All right, Krim's back. He's taking a piss. Yeah, I know. Just thinking about doing a new build. I just want good airflow. I find myself always going back to. Oh, sorry, not Landly. Technically, it is though. Land Cool. Let's see if I can pull them up, because I know they've changed around a little bit. Yeah, there we go. Hello. These guys. I like these guys. And they have really nice cable management features, like a medium case. Let's look at the 216. Right? Quick view. Load, damn it. And I believe these were also not that expensive. Let's look at the back. You have covers. This one doesn't have cover. I remember it used to have covers. I forget which one had like all sorts of panels and stuff that you could really hide a lot of the stuff with. I don't know. Is it the 215 then? I'm not sure. They don't really show the back. But yes, these LanCool cases are very airflow focused, so they could also they could be good for you. And I do believe they were not that expensive. Let's cross check. LanCool. $100 for the 216. Looks like 120 for this one, and it comes with fans. That part is surprising. LanLee is not known for being, at least originally until more recently, they're known for being particularly cheap. The 205 mesh right here comes with all the fans you see in the picture. That's pretty good. You got mesh, you got dust filter on the bottom. Those two fans in the front are 140s. The one in the rear is your exhaust. You have two intake, one exhaust straight out of the box. Supports up to ATX, and it's $118. Solid. Now, some people would argue Montec. If you just wanted something with good airflow, Montec does check the bills here. $70 for that one, for example. But they have all sorts of choices. Let's see. Is that the Montec Sky 2? There's the Montec XR. It looks like it's very similar to the Sky 2, so the Sky 2 seemed to be taller, skinnier one. Yeah, look at that. You can do 3 intake, and one of them blows directly into the GPU for good GPU temps. Like Montec is a good choice too. It's not going to blow you away in case quality, but if you want something to hold your computer parts and get good airflow, they're pretty hard to beat too. Montec, LanCool. Let's have a look for Mr. Reader Dragon. Fantex. Let's see. The NV5 is probably the standard normal good case for them. They are not here. Womp Ryu. Well, there we go. Fantex XT. What about NZXT? Sure, NZXT makes good cases. We just passed by one. The H5 Flow is probably what H6 Flow is what they're up to. Looks like this one does come with fans as well. 3 120mm fans. You can get one with RGB fans. And what does that price go up to? $120. There you go. Right there. Do you want it in white? That's what they have. They have it in black too. Is black with fans. H6 Flow RGB. There we go. So that's pretty nice. I do believe they have a different one. It's the H5 Flow. H5 Flow is more standard, not dual chamber kind of fish tank looking. Look at there he is. H5 Flow. And you can get it with RGB fans. Is it $95? So a little more standard traditional. You get mesh everywhere. There you go. And then the H6 Flow is the kind of the super neat new design one with the 3 fans angled in, 1 blowing down at the GPU, 2 blowing up at the top. Drop in 2 exhaust fans in the rear and you're done. You don't need the top ones. You'd have 3 intake, 2 exhausts, and you're solid with the positive pressure airflow config. And you have a cool looking case. Look at that. That's how it would look. They did fans in the top, but they have it with an AIO. That's unfortunately negative. This is the problem when you have big cases, is you end up having possibly too many exhausts. Because now you have 4 exhausts and only, well, okay, that kind of works. There's 4 exhaust fans to 5 intakes. And this guy, so if you do fans in the top like this and a fan in the rear, That's 4 exhaust fans. And if you want to reduce dust in your case, you want to go with a positive pressure config. So you want more intake fans than exhaust fans. So no matter how many exhausts you do at least one more than that for your intake, and you will have less dust all the time. I have that one just seeing a lot of cases that had the 45-degree little airflow setup. Seeing a lot of cases that had a 45-degree little. Okay, yeah, it's cool. It's cool. I love it. It's a very unique feature of the cases. But there's other cases that have the more traditional configuration with good airflow and all that stuff. This Montec is not bad, especially if it includes all the fans, I think. Yeah, 4 fans included. You have 3 intake, 1 exhaust, positive pressure config. It's pretty great. You could even add 2 more fans, or maybe I would just do 1 in the back here. So that way the top exhaust fan, if you have an air cooler, isn't stealing the air before it goes through it. So like, I think that might be my thing going forward, is if you have a more traditional case like this, and we'll pirate software it up real quick. If you do this, right? And you want to put a fan, let's see, let's go red in a circle there, and you're good. That's where I would stop, because if you put a fan here as well, and then you have your CPU cooler right here, right, and it has its fans on it, air that is blowing from this fan right here is going this direction, right, and then this fan up here is grabbing that air and stealing it away from the CPU cooler. But if you don't do that, and you just do the 1 back here, and you have your air cooler right here again, then any air coming from this fan, right, blowing this direction, getting sucked into the air cooler, gets full flow from that fan, and then these 2 fans in the back do their thing to pull the air out. And I think that is going to be better for most people, because you won't have the fan above this side pulling the air and stealing it away. That's just how I feel about that. Okay, closing all that. Oh, we got a comment on YouTube to respond to. Let's see if they end up stopping by the stream. Not you. Let's go to the studio. Oh, God, no. Who dropped that comment? It wasn't Cram, I don't think. It's MTG, and he posted, this is for the build that looks like Matt did. Hey Jay, what's up? About the video on how to install an AIO CPU cooler, and he wrote, I know this is already 4 years old, but those cable extensions could have heavily benefited from cable comms. Yep. This PC build no longer exists in this case anymore, though. So, problem solved. Here we are. That guy ended up taking my Enthu case that I built 2 computers in, and then he took apart his 2 computers and built his and his wife's computer into that one case. Pretty cool. I was thinking with the 45-degree intake, it would make more air circulation, like it would be swirling, have 2 fans and picking the bottom and a lot of fans exhausting on the top. You just don't want 2 fans too close to each other that are both intake and exhaust, because that'll just mess that whole thing up. Like with that H6 flow, that's ZXT H6 flow. Like the rules don't change because of the 45 degrees. Put you on here. And we go here, right? So these top fans, oh, let's put you in blue. These top fans are still blowing like this way, right? Okay. The air still kind of goes that direction. Now, if you take a couple of more intakes, put them on the bottom, and then you do, say, one intake in the rear. You have 5 intake to 1 exhaust. You need more exhaust. That's not enough. Don't put one here, is what I'm saying. Because then before you get to your cooler, if it's an air cooler setup, if it's a liquid cooled setup, and this 45-degree cutout has an AIO on it, doesn't matter. All you need is for air to cross the radiator. Now things might run a little hotter inside the case because now this air is getting pulled up and out, and you have less, but you still have you still have exhaust moving air around, so you'll be all right. But if you don't put that fan there, and then more air, let's just focus on air cooled configuration, and you only have the one fan here, then you have four exhausts to 3. Sorry, take that back. 5 intake to 2 exhaust. Solid. You'll get great air. You should be able to get great airflow if you have an air cooler. It'll get full air passing over it. You have multiple intakes. These two are focused on the GPU and say maybe the chipset. This middle fan is blowing on air onto the back of the GPU and the chipset, VRM, stuff like that. Bottom one down here is blowing into the GPU. Everything will be fine. It just, if you're air cooled, you just don't put an intake like this, like this one, next to an exhaust up here. You don't do that. You can, and everything will work fine, but I just would advise against it. That's all. There we are. Oh, how long have I been live? See that. View stats. It either neat. OBS on that little portable monitor over there is not giving all my details, but it's okay. Oh, there we go. Hour and a half. Chit chatting, hanging out. Right on. Worrying about airflow P3 Pro. Hey, don't gotta worry about airflow when all the air flows. Cool. Well, we've been talking tech and hanging out for over an hour. We're going to go ahead and call it on YouTube for now. If you guys want to join me, still talk tech, see stuff in the room, hang out. It'll be a little bit more casual, playing some games with the friends and stuff. And like I said, I still answer everything that I can. And then make sure you go over and watch on Twitch. That's where I will be. Anybody who's already there, stay put. As far as YouTube goes, I will catch you guys in the next video or the next stream. And don't forget, we did release a new video today. I want the video to do well. I really would like for the video to do well. So please go watch it, thumbs up it, share it with your friends, leave comments. I would very much appreciate that because, again, I want the video to do well. So if you haven't seen it, go ahead and click it there. And over on Twitch, same thing. If you guys have not seen the video that we published today, make sure you go watch it. We have another video coming soon. Got to get into editing. We're going to be talking about if a certain $800 ergonomic chair is worth it. Those Butcher Block desktops look heavy to move. They are movable by one person, but it's definitely easier being moving with 2 people, 100%. It is just very cumbersome for one person to move, and it is difficult, not impossible. I did carry a single 8-foot butcher block from the front of my house to the back of my house. There's a room back there that I needed to use it in, but it took everything I had, every ounce of stamina and strength to get it over there by myself. It was nuts. At one point, I couldn't get back up. Like I was still holding it, but I didn't want to put it down, so I just kneeled. And when I kneeled, it took like a great amount of effort to stand back up. If I just tried to stand normally, nothing would happen. I got a desk frame recently, and I'm debating just putting on gaming and getting a 4-foot, $20 IKEA top. Oh, you know what? All right, before we end, let's look at IKEA tops, because I do have some suggestions. But I would suggest against the 4-footer, unless you definitely need the space. Sorry, I always use AIO for CPU. Then yeah, just hit the like button. Yes, Cecil, thank you. I just a couple of holes in the wall, moving them out of the room, practice patching drywall. Oh shit. Yeah, if you're using an AIO, then yeah, it doesn't really matter. The goal for the AIO is to move air over the radiator and then get hot air out of the case. You still want a positive pressure setup, so you still want more intake than exhaust. But if air is being brought into the case and it's being brought in over radiator fins and then exhausted, and you have, again, more intake than exhaust, follow that rule set and you'll be fine in every case you build in. So, IKEA, right? We're going to do this for Verret. Shopping. Everybody does the Carlby. It's overpriced. Don't get the Carlby. Get the Salgen. Let's see. There's a good Salgen. Where's the one I'm looking for? Here we go. Oh, Ekbakken is also a decent one. What is that one? Oh, Lag Captain, $20. What? Currently limited to large orders, or for delivery, but you can just buy it at the store. It's hollow. Oh, so it's like a hollow door. I don't know about this. Problem with the hollow one, I guess for 4 foot you could do it. I wouldn't though. The wear and tear on it is going to just be immediately a problem. And for not that much more money, you get a Salgen, but which is the one I'm looking for. It looks like it's going to be this 98. Is this too big for you? Like, look, this looks like mine, and it's $100. Okay, it got a little more expensive. Let's go back to Ekbakken. Need to get 8 foot of ironwood, 100 pounds. Oh, way too big for the desk frame. I mean, does the desk frame not expand a little bit? It's designed for 4 foot with no expansion capability. I know there's a smaller one. I just can't. Why can't I find it? 74, 48. Mockyard. Hey, that's there we go. That's a 4-footer. $40, white laminate. I wish they had more colors. 48 by 3/8 by 7/8. But what's the actual width here? Measurements. There we go. Depth 25 and 5/8. Oh, perfect. There you go. 4, and it's probably not hollow. Yeah. Little Trask. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Look at this. $70. Looks like butcher block kinda. And it's 49 by 21.5, which means it is desk depth and about 4 feet. Yeah. 35 to 53. Oh, there you go. Perfect. Not hollow. This is have the thick wood veneer. It's a 3/4 inch thickness desk. Neat. Tolkien, like JRR. Oh, good. This one has choices. Look at this. You can get it in black marble. You can get it in brown walnut. That's a nice one. Kind of has an old look to it. Old and like, old office furniture kind of deal. And then you get the marble and the gray stone and stuff, and it's 49 by 21 and a half. Is this also 3/4 inch thick? It is. Bathroom countertop? Probably waterproof. Oh yeah, smart. That is also a bonus. Yeah, that's a good thing. That's funny. Using a bathroom, that could be a video. Using a bathroom countertop as a desk. That's pretty cool. I'm glad they have so many choices. Salgin is too big. Yeah. Okay, cool. Do you want links? I don't know if you cared about the Mockyard, but yeah, $25 IKEA desk is the jam. Yeah, but I mean, like, that one being hollow is that's rough. $60 for a tabletop? That's solid. It's money well spent. Like, I feel it's money well spent on these hardwood butcher blocks. These things were $250 each. And I cut one down. I cut 2 feet off of one of them. Because I couldn't put 8 feet all the way across on this front. And I couldn't even put 8 feet all the way across on this one. So I paid that much and had to cut them down. Because you can't make a small desk longer, but you can make a big desk shorter. So... you have a home you're staying in, I probably will be moving the next year. Yeah, well, I mean, I guess the money spent on the hollow one, you're like, oh, well, let's move. And it breaks. You're like, whatever, it's $20. Let's go. I think this Tolkien countertop would probably be the play. It'll probably stay together well when you move. That's easy to remember, too. Just think of Lord of the Rings. Oops, wrong one. Yeah. All right. Well, I mean, see, that's the thing too. Like, if I were to move, I would definitely be taking these these desks, these butcher blocks with me, and even if they got beat up, it would take holes getting put in them to be irrecoverable. And otherwise, I can just sand and refinish. That's the beauty of something like this. But I see the point of view the other way too. But I think spending the extra on something slightly better will still last you through multiple moves. Now, if it was like IKEA stuff that you have to assemble with little wood pegs and all that stuff, well, yeah, you might have a bit of a problem if you move around a bit. But just a plain old desk top like that, countertop, I think it'd be fine. Cool. All right, I'm going to be switching over to Twitch now. So catch me over there. I'll drop links for those of you that aren't already there. Well, for YouTube people, thank you for hanging out. Thank you for being here. I always love chit-chatting, talking tech, and streaming to the YouTube audience. I didn't do that regularly. I used to do that in the old days of the channel, but I was also doing all the casual games and stuff in there, and it was a bit extreme. It was a lot. So make sure you head on over there. The hack is the countertop over the IKEA desk. Interesting. Oh, that kept working. Okay, cool. All right. See you guys over on the Twitch.